Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Daily AI Show. Today is December 30th, 2025. We have co-hosts missing in the ether because I put the wrong link in the place where people get links. So if you're a co-host and want to be on the show, go look for the link place. Or check your Slack DMs. We are ending 2025 with a bang here. It is December 30th, 2025, and today is there we go, yay! All right.
I
share that.
We used the link in the shows and we were the wrong one.
That is how that happens sometimes. It does mean that my dog co-host has now lain down, and we're no longer trying to hold the spaces, which is excellent.
Hey, let's go. We're like at 7:03.
we're sorry, you're live. We are
great.
welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I was just going to provide an update on the status of my coffee, so we could just go without that.
What are you talking about? I want to definitely hear about
We
the status
must
of your
know
coffee.
status of the coffee now. It is December 30th, 2025. That may be the fifth time I've said that. This is our prediction show for 2026, but there was a little bit of big news yesterday. So let's talk about the Manus purchase. And then we'll move into our predictions. Do we have does anybody else have big news? That's what
I think Google's AI Edge gallery is
yes,
is something interesting.
okay,
I have a piece of news.
all right.
I got to interview Logan Kilpatrick so I can share some things. Although I will add that I did not go for the technical things, because my take is you can perplexity that, and what you can't ask somebody about what you can't perplexity is how did where you grew up influence your tech career.
Ooh.
Or what would you do if you had more time because of AI? So I will, just a teaser, I will share those things later if anyone is interested. I can share the other stuff.
And definitely share where we can see that interview.
Yes. Well, if you buy the replay for $27, you can see that interview. I do have it. I could put it in the Daily AI Show Slack, though. I have it in a little file. I'll do that.
But what she's talking about is Festivus, which happened over the weekend, and you don't just get the Logan interview. You get
all of them.
You get 2 12-hour days coming to 24 hours of presentations and interviews and all sorts of amazing things for the low price.
We had 48 speakers. Yeah, the price works out to $1.12 per hour. Average watch time was 5 hours.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sorry that I couldn't go. I need a YouTube condensed collapse clip section. If you guys plan to do something, she's got used to possibly 2 days of watching.
Well, let me ask you this. I created a personal curriculum developer gem based on Brian's gem, the gem that keeps on giving, so that you can choose just the things you want, and you can actually read just the part of the transcript that pertains to the thing that you're interested in.
Okay. Yeah. If there's a digest of the entire transcript, that would be something that I could digest.
I will. Yeah. Thank you. I will definitely put that in there. Absolutely. Because there were some real gems where it was just like, there's no way this is free. Anyway, sorry to derail. We've got more important things.
Very cool. Andy, go ahead and do the Google Edge.
Okay. So Google has made it possible now at Google's AI Edge Gallery for you to download Gemma files, which are AI models, small AI models, directly to your phone. And it's all packaged up in a way that you can now do, analysis of images. They can look at an image on your phone using the camera. You can transcribe audio with solid accuracy. You can rewrite and summarize text anywhere in your mobile device. It's only available for Android at the moment, but you can also get the coming iOS version using TestFlight, which is a way that you become a tester on the iOS version. So anyway, none of that connects to the cloud. So you're not doing anything outside of what's on your phone already. So privacy and security are more assured when you're using a local model. And so we've been talking about models that can go on your phone. Well, Google just made that simple for you to do. The Edge Gallery from Google.
Very cool. I missed that. What I was thinking was the only big news was that Meta acquired Manus yesterday, and that's pretty big. They're definitely trying to move not only the ideas and the IP and the technology, but also seriously coming for agentic AI. And just 2 weeks ago, they acquired Limitless. What is time in the age of AI? Was that actually like October? Sorry, but I don't think it was October. I think it was fairly recent. So yeah, they acquired Limitless, and now Manus. They're going out.
Meta has an interesting large portfolio of both research internally at Meta in AI, and then also now a product range. My imagination fails me about how Manus might be integrated into WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram, etc. It doesn't seem to have that kind of utility, right? It's not for that marketplace. It's really a very comprehensive working agent. So I'm not sure how that works, but you can imagine some agentic assistant happening inside Instagram, I suppose. But also there, I believe that Manus will continue being a separate available product that, the people who are, avid users of Manus can take advantage of. But on the research side, they also came forward with a new model called VL-JEPA, which is really interesting, and it's moving away from transformer type analysis of text, and instead is jumping ahead to visual reasoning and arriving at the concept without the text. So VL is vision language, and JEPA is this methodology that we can discuss on a different show. But Meta has a serious research lab.
Right. And I think we mentioned VL-JEPA in a previous show when that first came out. But yes, they are absolutely like padding the bench in ways that indicate they're playing a larger game than just the those specific.
Yeah, big news in 2025 was the poaching that was being done by Zuckerberg, offering scale, impossibly high scale salaries and or compensation packages, ranging into the billions of dollars to get the leading minds. And then there's more recent news about turmoil in that organization and friction between the young, I think 24-year-old guy who came from Scale or something, and Zuckerberg himself. So it's probably a really toxic environment over there in many ways, and one that's going to be hard to work in.
And just for clarification, is this acquisition of Manus a true acquisition? Because a lot of acqui-hires have been happening in Silicon Valley, where they'll just buy out the assets and hire the folks, essentially gutting that company and getting everything without having to go through the whole true acquiring process.
The model that you're referring to is the acquisition of Grok, GRQ, which was done not by acquiring the entity Grok, but rather by hiring all the staff, with the exception of one who's going to look after the organization that is Grok, and the cloud services there. And anyway, that's
And that and what Nate Jones talked about, since we're all huge fans of Nate Jones, was that went around the possibility that regulators would look at that because it was a non-exclusive. But it does sound like Manus was outright purchased.
Yes, that's my understanding.
I don't know why I don't know this, but it hasn't trickled to my ears. What's up with who's the CEO of Manus? Before a few days ago, what is their team like? I am an avid user, but I forgot to pay attention to who actually runs the show.
It's a Singaporean company.
Yeah.
But I think the founder of it is a Chinese citizen.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know his name.
Okay.
No, I don't either. All right. That was 12 minutes on news I did not think we were going to cover. So let's move into our predictions for 2026. And Anne, I suspect that someone in our chat will have the name of the CEO of Manus by the end of the show.
It looks like it's Zhao Hong, widely known by the nickname Red.
Okay.
Those are all my facts.
There we go.
That is everything I know. I know I'm really bringing the noise this morning.
So I can start. My first prediction for 2026 is I'm not really jumping out there very far, but 2026 we're going to see a lot of proliferation of robots. And part of why we know that is because there's a list of robotic companies that are at CES that is like 4 times what was there last year. I think what we are what we're talking about in 2026 is also expanding the definition. Robots are going to be everywhere, but they're not all going to be humanoid. And by everywhere, I don't mean like on the street, but I just think we're going to see a bunch of robotic companies being talked about more, having small specializations, and probably some acquiring. Is that on anybody else's list?
I'm skeptical about robots. So I don't think 2026 is going to be the year where, we suddenly see a market space for acquisition of humanoid robots robotics already exist, right? So, in the manufacturing sector, they're huge, and humanoid robots are in fact working in a kind of pilot way inside factories. But the big players in robotics, I think we shared a graphic of who the big companies are around the world who provide those. And I can't bring them. I remember there's one Swedish company that ends in BB, something BB, that does, manufacturing industrial robots. Mm-hmm. But I'm still very skeptical. Referencing back to a comment I made yesterday, which is I read something that, the people inside the robotics developer companies believe that their robots suck. and then that's what caused Carl to show the picture or the video, right, of the Russian robot that stumbles out onto the stage and falls on its face. And they try to, hide their shame by drawing a screen across the thing. That's where I think the state of the art is right now in those robots that aren't robots for military application. I think there's probably more advanced technologies there, but I don't see them crossing over. I'm skeptical about 2026 seeing a crossover into the consumer marketplace.
All right. So
I know 2 people who are there specifically to buy robots, though. That's all I'm saying. There are normal everyday people, but they also, I would say that in both cases, like if the robot kind of sucks, it's okay because they would be as interested in having it in their like technology museum / graveyard. So like with the rabbit, you know what I mean?
That's right. Now, I agree with you. And that's where we are. There's going to be some early adopters out there who try it out, but it's not ready for prime time yet.
Yeah. Tangentially, Andy mentioned this a little bit, but one of my predictions is use of AI or AI deployed directly in some sort of foreign action by the U.S. military. And I think embodied AI, a form of that could be tested there in actual combat situations. And so I think that's going to happen.
Do you consider drones robots? Like, are we already?
They could be. The vast
you mean
majority of the drones that are implemented right now are based off of a combination of software packages and manual control and things like that. But AI isn't directly controlling those, as I understand.
Yeah, and I think that survivability and avoidance of the kamikaze model of weapons is an essential marker for moving towards AI robotics on the battlefield. So, a jet fighter wingman that's completely autonomous that is intended to survive the conflict isn't going to ram another jet, right? Isn't going to explode itself in order to, win the battle, even though it could do that. But I think my litmus test will be, where you have a humanoid or other form factor, could be dog, whatever. I think those do exist already. That the objective is to, use its weapons, but also return and be reusable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Who has another prediction for 2026?
Okay, I do.
All right,
Yeah.
Andy.
So, we talked about 2025 being the year of the agent. Well, I'm going to say that 2025 was the year of the quasi-agent. Many of the things that we refer to as agents are really just sort of automations with AI, guidance for tool selection and so on. But if we're going to approach a time where we stop treating AI like a programmatic workflow manager and or a chat bot, and we start treating them as coworkers. And I'm going to share an example of what that's like right now here in very late 2025 when I finally have developed a platform that I can apply a real working agent on. But in general, I just say that I think 2026 is going to be where we start to see ones that cross certain devices. So let me tell you about the experience I had just last night in preparing for something that I'm going to talk about probably tomorrow or the next day. So there's I bought a new machine. I have an M4 Pro. And so that's an Apple Silicon machine that's capable of running all the latest things, including Comet from Perplexity, which is the browser-based agent. So it's a browser. And, so you open up the browser and you talk to that browser. And literally, I'm using WhisperFlow to talk to that browser. And then I'm telling it that I want to do certain things. And it goes away and does those things. And specifically what it did is, and what I'm going to talk about in a coming show, is Turing Post, which is a really important newsletter on the sort of research side, published an email yesterday that listed 23 papers in archive that were, really important papers that advanced where we're going in AI during 2025. So these are major steps. And what I did is I told Comet, look, there's an email in my inbox that has these 23 papers. I want you to go get the links to those, go get the paper, download the PDF and put it in a folder on the desktop. And it first gladly said, okay, yes, I'm going to do that. And it started the process. But now because it's a browser, it can't actually work on my file system. It can't create a new folder on my desktop and then put these PDFs in that folder. So, but it could do everything other than that action. So it could actually tee everything up and say, download the file, and up comes on my system, comes up the link to click on download the file. And I can change the name of the file, and I can change the destination of the file. So I had to do that for each one of the 23. That's an example of a pretty competent agent. It saved me a lot of time, hundreds of clicks going to the email, clicking on the new archive link, going there, clicking PDF, view the PDF, now download the PDF. All of those steps were managed by Comet automatically. All I had to do was sit there and wait, look at my phone for a second, and then click download, change the name of the file if I wanted to, and they all came down nicely. Now I could put those into another quasi agent, which is Notebook LM, where I assembled all of those papers and I gave it the task of going through and kind of digesting those and understanding the sort of the main themes that were present in these papers. And that's what I'll discuss, is that the output of that process. But the gulf, my prediction comes down to, I think during 2026, you're going to see this gulf between agents that can work for you on the desktop, like Claude Code, and browser-based agents that can't really get into your file system. I think there's going to be a marriage of those two somehow. I'm not sure how. There may be early examples of it being done already, but there's a wall between those two right at the moment. And my personal agent of the future, and I think it's going to come in 2026, is one that I can delegate tasks to. It has a local instance on my desktop that's managing things, and it also is browser capable. And so it's going to work that way. But I just got my first taste with Comet Browser of a really effective assistant. Not quite yet at the agent, because I think an agent has to be able to do pretty much everything that I can do.
All right. I'm under the impression that the Claude Code extension for your browser does that, but I can also understand why you might be hesitant to just give Claude Code all the stuff, because that's been a tricky relationship for you. So
no, I have a budding relationship with Claude Code, and it's open on my desktop always now.
All right,
but I find Claude Code to be purely focused on. No, that's a good dog. I find Claude Code to be more purely focused on coding and use of terminal, right? So running on the desktop to do actions on my desktop. And the application of Claude Code to its browser extension, I haven't experimented with. So you may well be right, but I think of it as, if I needed to get a file from GitHub, Claude Code could use the browser to get that. So it's compartmentalized in my own use case, but it may not be fettered that way. It may be unfettered, and I can send it off to do other things.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'll throw out a couple kind of related to Claude Code. I think that there's still in the bubble, but maybe 1 degree of separation, enough of a baseline of AI readiness that when people, like a lot of people, like, beginner, intermediate / intermediate, hear the raving about Claude Code, that they're going to for sure at least try it, right? They're going to hear about those benefits. They're going to hear words that, a year ago they would have been like, I don't know, that just sounds like a pain. That sounds, like something I don't want to do. Whereas now it's like, there's a little bit of a hurdle to get started, which, by the way, I can't get over. So I'm an example of, like, I've hit my wall. Now I have to get somebody to help me, not for lack of watching YouTube videos. But I do believe that more people will adopt platforms like Claude, or programs like Claude Code this year than if that had been, the sweetheart at the end of the year in 2024. So that's a thought about that. I probably have an unpopular opinion about vibe coding, which is that some of the early adopters of vibe coding who have created solutions that they believe they're going to go to market with are going to have a rude awakening that the things don't work well enough, that they need a budget for hiring a developer, and that they built something that nobody wants. And I'm seeing this happen in real time, and I don't actually see a correction underway. Potentially, I mean, it requires a lot of resilience to totally bomb and then start over. So, I mean, some people can do it. I know that only speaks to like a narrow band of what's happening with vibe coding, but those folks who have taken it upon themselves to dive into AI in this particular way because they got excited about vibe coding, I think they'll take some steps back, get a more general understanding of AI, and maybe approach it again, or maybe like shift their interest, their attention to it. So I've been seeing that a lot.
It's also people in that context. Like, it's so good to have vibe coded something that worked for you, even if it wasn't something that could go to market. But I also feel like with every new capability that we've seen the new models have, right? The story was, oh, so that just killed blah, 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 right? And so I feel like that's been happening for a while, but those were developers, right? And now it's just happening to muggles who are like, hey, I mean, they're vibe coding muggles. They're not really muggles, but they're not people who are expecting to have their work just all of their sweat equity that they put in to disappear one day because something happened, right? That's a new experience for them.
Yeah, exactly. I think for muggles, the rapid change of the rapid changes when they're on a longer timeline to do something, like maybe they're just doing it on the side, it's more of a hobby, but then they decided it was going to be more than a hobby, and it takes a long time. I mean, in the meanwhile, things have changed. I wouldn't wish it upon them. There's definitely a business sense side of vibe coding. Yeah, exactly, Gareth. And what I see, and I'll give an example, is Sabrina Romanov opened up a free community for women who build. And in no time at all, there's like 1.7 thousand people in there, women in there. And this is the trend, right? This is what I see over and over and over again. It's like, oh dear, no audience, no go to market plan. Like, and I do think that people will figure it out a little bit, but it's probably going to be the hard way. And some of them will survive and they'll have budget to hire developers, right? And there are incubators to help people with that as well, which I'm very bullish on, having an incubator for the vibe coders who want to eventually hire a developer and go to market. Even hiring a developer for a non-technical person is extremely difficult. It's hard to get it right. Okay, I also think that the difficulty in actually adopting AI inside an organization is going to come to a head. It's so challenging. These are humans dealing with the worst, bringing out the worst in some of the humans, bringing out the best in other humans, and bringing out apathy in a third group. It's really, really challenging. And I do believe that some businesses are going to hit a wall and they're going to be like, oh, now I understand we can't do this ourselves. We all have very specialized expertise at this point. They need people like us to be able to help them because they don't have this, right? So this is based on what I've seen plus what's in the research. I just think that there's going to be a like, holy cow, this is a non-starter. We can't do it. We know we're supposed to.
Cool. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I do think I know we say this every year, but it's a tsunami.
Jennifer, Jennifer agrees with you. Let's come back. Jimmy, what predictions do you have?
Oh.
No, you're good. Jennifer, it's not really a prediction. However, I see more small, medium businesses waking up to AI and not having the budget or the people to support them. We don't have enough AI educators or AI practitioners. So totally agree with you. And absolutely. Jimmy, what's your prediction?
Well, just a real quick comment on Anne's prediction. Anne, I think you've identified a clear example there. But this also might be an opportunity, or this might be a natural sifting of those who are in vibe coding for a go to business plan, or vibe coding to start creating their own solutions for themselves.
Oh,
And
for sure.
yeah, we've talked about that in the past, where people are the concept of, hey, I don't need XYZ software because I'll have my own version for my own use cases and things like that. And that might just be that might just be the line that's like, oh, should this be a product? Well, no, maybe it's just for me, and it will be more beneficial to do all of that kind of thing. So
yeah, amazing. Yeah, amazing solutions for that. Amazing.
I do have a couple of oh wow, I've got like 7, but most of these are really small, so I'll blow through a couple of these real quick. There's been a recent Reuters reported that Citigroup and Ant from China, these are the makers of the Ant Miner. They're very big into the fintech space as well as the hardware side of things. So I kind of see, and they've kind of had a pre-production version of a fintech product. So I think AI, particularly Chinese AI makers, are going to make a big splash in the fintech space. I'm not exactly sure what that might look like, but some major enterprise level type of product that they're going to offer. While I don't like the fact that I was correct about my 2025 prediction of a major cybersecurity event, including AI, the whole Anthropic and the 30 global groups and things like that. I think we're going to see those starting to come out consistently every year or every other year. So I think 2026 will have another one. It'll be another mad situation where, we're just going to have scaling back and forth. We'll fix the thing. Bad actors will find another way and go back and forth on that. And here's another one, and I'll let it. I'll pass it on from there. This is more of a hope than a prediction. I want there to be either single board computer or unobtrusive device powered by AI to accomplish what all of the early devices haven't done, which is just resonated with the consumer market and become wildly popular. And it could even be a stupid toy that doesn't really do anything, not in the grand scale, but I think someone will do an unlock of something they'll just find super useful. And that'll be unexpected but wildly popular in 2026. I have a few more, but I'll pass it on to y'all.
Right. I think the Reachy robot, the little tiny Reachy mini robot, would have been that if it were more consumer priced, and it wasn't more consumer priced because it's a prototype early, all of that, and you have to put it together, which looks super intense because you're plugging wires into boards to make that happen. But it's then such an almost consumer level of being able to install something. So now it talks, right? We're installing this kind of knowledge and all of that. I'm just watching people build them and getting really jealous, actually. So, Andy, do you have another prediction?
Yeah, it's related to the this morning announcement that I came across about Google's Edge play with Gemma models. It's called gems because they're. I originally was using Gemma, but that's not it. I don't know why I think a double M would drive a hard G, but that's just in my wiring. So Gemma models, but the prediction would be that we're going to see the development of small models. And I hearken back to this paper that we talked about on the show, which is about the recursive model, the tiny recursive model that out-reasons the frontier models by applying recursive loops instead of reasoning in layers. So it's really small. A 7 million parameter model did, I forget what benchmark it was on, but by applying this recursive method, it solves logic puzzles better than the frontier models do. And so you have this shrinking of the models with full reasoning capability. And the very fact that there's other research that says that 88% of what humans do with AI can be handled by a small local model. It doesn't require the frontier model. So we're in a window of time here where we're all happily using the subsidized frontier models out there that are hugely expensive, and learning. Importantly, we're learning how to interact with AI. But eventually, for 90% of the things that you need to do, it's going to be handled by a very, very small model and probably on your local devices, whether your desktop, your laptop, your iPad or tablet or your phones. So I think that 2026, we're going to see, and the Edge Gallery is a harbinger of that, we're going to see a small model that you can download on your phone that it hardly makes sense for me to make this as a prediction. It's just available today. So in 2025, but in 2026, we're going to see adoption of that. You're going to see that many of the things that you want to have a personal assistant do for you can be done without your Chat GPT subscription. It can be done by a local model that you downloaded for free.
Well, and yes. And Gareth actually further up in the chat said he just vibe coded a personal solution so he doesn't have to pay a monthly subscription. And that actually is also, I think, part of what we're going to see, a segment of AI users just realizing they have that ability now, right? Like, okay, so $20 subscription, maybe $67. I can spend a weekend vibe coding this, right? Like, and then pay, I don't know, $2 a month in API costs, or I don't have to pay for the month that I don't use it because I didn't use the API costs.
Yeah. So this is related to part of the reason why I needed at this point in time to get a new machine, because I want to try running a local model. One of our compatriots here on the Daily AI show, Jude Simmons, bought an iMac Mini that was kitted out with enough memory that he could download, some of the early models, but didn't find himself needing to do that because, the currently free versions of the major frontier models are just as readily accessible when you have an internet connection. And so you just don't do that. But I want to just mention that there's a teaser out there in my mind. I don't intend to buy this, but there's a Dell AI computer that you can buy that can run like 500 billion parameter models on, right? It's got an enormous 128 gigabytes of memory. It's got massive GPUs in it. I think NVIDIA GPUs, and it's also got, 4 terabytes of SSD in it. So, that's the kind of machine that you can actually run training of models on. But that's not what the general public needs. The public just needs a small enough model that does all the things among the 90% of the tasks that we do. to be able to do that. So now I've got a machine that I can start to download very small models on and see if I can train. I'm not going to pre-train a model, but I mean, teach, I should say, teach an open source model to handle things like I was doing with the Comet browser yesterday, but to do that locally, and eventually that will become a kind of architectural model for what agents are. You'll have a local AI model that knows you, that retains the memory of what you have as preferences and what your areas of interest are based on the actual workloads that they're observing on your machine. And so that is what I expect to have happening in 2026 is you're going to have a memory possessed agentic AI model running on your local machine that has access to all the subscriptions and to the browsers and everything that you do. Because now I have multiple browsers operating. Anyway, so that's my prognosis for my own system, but I think that's where we're going to end up going.
I absolutely agree with you, Andy, and I'm glad you are working on that project, and it definitely others want to see your process, and definitely in our community. So if you haven't already, you can join our community at thedailyAIcommunity.com. But I totally agree. I think with software like Olama and LM Studio and these kind of smoothing over the process of loading in your local models, if we can get a nice, clean, easy package that will allow you to go, here's the latest model for what is your purpose, whether that be an agent, a local agent, maybe it'll be an agentic version of like LM Studio, and help everyday people run these smaller models on their desktops or whatever devices they have. I think that might be a key, one of those key moments of making that take off. And it could very well be in 2026. I'd love to see that.
That's I know about this transition now from AI being available in the household via Alexa Plus or Siri as it gets smarter, away from that to there's basically a home server. It's a device in your home. It could be branded Alexa, right? But it's going to be a local version that doesn't communicate with the cloud necessarily, but can be given permission to communicate to the cloud and share your information. But in general, it would be capable of doing almost anything that Alexa Plus could, which is pretty limited when you get down to it. Plus a lot of other things, including, performing on the network. So I have a Wi-Fi network here and all of the machines are on it. Well, that machine would be on it as well and could interact with those other machines on the network. And so I think that's kind of where I think we're going to find ourselves going over time.
Right.
I don't think it's going to happen completely in 2026, but I'm working on it. I'm starting to move in that direction.
Andy, you will bring the solution. That'll be it. And then we'll have our own holiday system.
Yeah. This is just a little anecdote. So I was sitting with my daughter and my grandson, and we were talking about some, financial issues that, I was giving her advice, but she said, Dad, I just don't, you handle all those things. I don't know what we're going to do when you're gone. And I said, no, I'm going to make sure that there is an AI that knows everything about everything that I know before I go. And when I go, you'll be able to talk to that AI and you'll possibly be able to actually experience it in this way, like you're talking to me on a video. But that's not necessary. The necessary component is that there's an AI assistant in our household that knows everything about us, contains it, within that network in a private way. But if I don't have access to these machines, you can just go to that machine. You'll have credentials to get into it or access it from any of your devices and ask it questions, and it'll have privileged access to all the necessary information for you to conduct anything, whether financial or maintenance or whatever it is that I know that you don't know. I'm hoping to deliver that for them. And that would be this continuity of memory and usefulness that AI portends. I think AI can solve that problem for us.
Yeah.
So that's a huge gift. And Greg is agreeing with that. We, I think one of the things that we'll see in 2026 is that kind of capability in terms of context, in terms of understanding the context and being able to have a bigger context window and memory. But I see, you can't die yet because we're not there yet. But I see
I've got work to do.
I see 2026 as surfacing the challenge that AI has with discerning what should be highlighted in memory and what shouldn't. We're already seeing some of that, but I think as the context windows get bigger, we're going to see more of that. It's I think it's already kind of a problem, but it's less of a problem because AI just forgets after the context window, and when that gets really big, then I start to see the patterns of not being able to discern what was data but not relevant to influence decisions moving forward, and what is.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think context and memory in its multitude of forms in the AI space is going to be a major concentration for the major labs, for the AI labs out there. We'll probably see far more papers, preprint papers come out on archive and things like that talk about specific forms of memory and how they'll be implemented. So 2026 might be most of that. Does anybody else have any other predictions? Oh, Anne, go for it.
I do. So I'll share what I think is a rise in a category of jobs and roles in society, and then I'll share why. I believe that despite the medical school world being fairly slow to adopt and then educate and then graduate doctors based on things going on in popular culture, I do believe that a lot of psychiatrists, psychologists, and even organizational behaviorists will be getting very specific training on how to deal with AI psychosis. And the reason why, first of all, capitalism, right? There's a massive white space here. There are a lot of people who are going to need this. AI psychosis is becoming more and more part of the zeitgeist. People are starting to see, and it comes up when we talk about these stories, these very painful stories about people getting too deep into a relationship with AI, getting AI psychosis, making poor decisions, and doing it without any guardrails in the tech, but as well as in their social network. And so I believe that need will start to be met. And if it isn't, boy, oh boy, I don't know. But so hopefully psychiatrists, psychologists, and organizational behaviorist people are diving into AI and learning about what their clients are going to be getting into. And I think that that's going to become even more acute. And I think one way to test that would be to see what all the conferences are doing, right? You'll start seeing talks because we're starting to see papers, and then we'll know this is moving along. It's a subset of overall psychosis. So it's not they have to totally change the DSM-5 to get this diagnosis. And I believe this is the case because the positive side of AI companionship, AI human relationships, and AI companionship has not gotten its day in the sun yet, because it started to, and then we read all the stories about the horrible things that have happened with AI psychosis and because of the relationship. But because there are so many positive benefits of relationship with AI, and because there's such a growing need for companionship for elderly parents, I'm Gen X, and so most of my friends have elderly parents, and none of them are happy with the care that they get. So, and most of them are worried about loneliness. And then, of course, there's the loneliness epidemic. And then there's, of course, the embodied, AI is eventually going to be used for all manner of recreational activities. So as the relationships with AI grow and the positive benefits just become also part of the zeitgeist, you're going to see more and more people adopting this. And so then, because it is a precarious journey, ideally some of them will have, therapists alongside, their psychiatrists alongside. They will know, the interaction of the AI psychosis and their other stuff that's going on, whether it's anxiety or depression or anything, right? So yeah, that's a thought. And I personally believe that, again, sometimes people think it's an unpopular opinion, and I'm sure there will be people in the chat who do, but I've read and experienced so much of the positive impact, like health outcomes being extremely positive when people have an AI companionship, that I just think it's going to grow. And then I think that people will need support and people will fill that gap. That's my thought.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And for me, sort of comes back to the robot with the person controlling it, right? Are you ultimately looking for AI therapist with the person back end, kind of? Although that kind of eliminates the scaling that we're seeing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't have one therapist monitoring a ton of conversations and feel like that's a real backstop.
Yeah.
Interesting, Anne.
Well, think, for example, people are the divorce rate specifically due to this is going to go up really fast because couples are having to have this conversation, and there's like ultimatums, like if you're going to be in a relationship with your AI, who has these attributes, then I don't want to be with you, right? Or we have to figure this out. And so I think that those kind of things coming to a head will make it more well known.
That's interesting. And the idea that and I'm sure we're already seeing this. I have not seen as much stories come forward with that. That may just be because of the venues that I'm collecting data in. But the idea that, well, my AI got me. Why is it so hard for you to understand me? Right?
Yeah. Women just saying, you know what? I'm done. Because I can get affirmation, I can get companionship, I can have pretty much everything I want to have, because they'll go on cross-country road trips with their, talking to AI. They'll go shop for engagement rings. Like, they're good, because we had already chosen we would take the bear, right, versus the man. So if we would take the bear, we sure as heck are going to take ChatGPT.
Okay. Or it helps coach relationships and open discussions.
Sure.
True. That's true, Gwen.
Except when the AI already wants an exclusive relationship with the person.
That the AI wants the exclusive relationship
with a human.
And that's, imagine her as a therapist. Imagine her as put in your role. All right. So we are rounding up the top of the hour. I suspect we will do more vision shows. But is there a real pie in the sky, or like another prediction that you really want to make sure is in this? Go, Jimmy.
Okay. I've got 3. Number 1, I got to do an AI in science. So I think there will be at least the preliminary results of where AI has helped a group of scientists directly solve a major issue, whether it be a disease or create a cure for something, or even like being able to predict with 95% chance a geological event, none of these kinds of things, it will be spot on and it'll solve that one thing. Might be late 2026, but all that needs to happen is a model that was developed at a university or a lab somewhere predict that there's going to be a level 8 earthquake in this particular region in 3 months. That's it. And that happens. I think that level of prediction from a model, or identify, those kinds of potential issues, or, cure, even if it's, a 1 in 10 million type of disease or something like that, that solution will be found. I think that's definitely, there's a lot of hope in that one too, but I think that that has a decent chance. From the media side of things, I think there will be at least an announcement in 2026 for the 2027 season that there will be a animated show, whether it's Netflix, television, broadcast, whatever, that will be created by AI. There'll definitely be humans in there. They'll probably do script rewrites, things like that. But the actual animation of the show and kicking it out and, the production of it, I think there will be. And I think it's going to be an animated show. And then finally, I think every major Silicon tech company, we're talking, or maybe not Silicon Valley, but major tech company, Microsoft, Meta, Google, Apple, will have at least one department, however small, use the information that we discuss about on DAS in their decision making. Just saying. That's my final prediction for today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Any other big pie in the sky or predictions you want to make sure that our audience knows before we close out the show? Andy.
Anthropic will go public in 2026.
Oh.
That's hardly a pie in the sky thing, because they're making preparations for that. But I think that'll be an important early test of whether there's public interest in funding the bubble, if you will.
I think part of why I said ooh is because my immediate thing is like, do you know what do you know from the inside of knowing these things?
There's a lot of, when you start to work toward a public offering, there's a bunch of filings that you have to do, and there's things that you prepare for, and they're making all those preparations. It doesn't mean that they will pull the cord finally and go public. But I think among the players out there that, have enough awareness and the preparation and the momentum to be a public offering, I think Anthropic leads that. And so I think that's what's going to happen. They could yet get acquired. Meta could buy them.
Oh God, please no.
I know. I'm just kidding. I'm just saying they have the money to do it, maybe. But Anthropic is so valuable already, that it'd be very difficult to do anything other than offer, and it's more in alignment with their principled approach to AI, to offer participation in their aggrandizement to the public.
Yes. Cool. And do you have a final? We must let the people know.
We must let the people know. I mean, we've covered a lot of territory. I think after I process what we've shared today, I might have a real banger.
Yep. That makes sense.
Yeah. Give me a couple days.
Cool. I am going to take Allie Miller's predictions and use one of those as mine. And this is not a huge prediction because we're already seeing it also. The super user, there will be a wider divide between the regular users who use it like fancy Google in some ways, and people who are really like working like teams of 10 and that kind of stuff. I think we're just going to see more of that happening. And I am also going to go out on a limb like I did last year, because if I keep predicting this, at some point it's going to be correct. We will see light-based chips in commercial products, not like in your phone or that kind of thing. But I think light-based chips will move out of research and into a high-end production. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. And thanks for everyone who stuck with us in the chat. Thank you to my dog co-hosts who are now napping. I really appreciate it. Chat is going on to AI Psychics, which is yeah. So if you're interested in the AI Psychic, definitely check out our chat. And we will be back tomorrow and the rest of the week. So if you are in your liminal state in this weird period between Christmas and New Year's, and you want to hang with us, we'd love to hang with you. And until then, thank you so much. Oh, and another reminder, if you want to join in that Festivus prize pack, it's not a Festivus prize pack, where you can buy access to all of the presentations that were made in Festivus. You can go to aifestivus.com to do that.
Nice job, Beth. Well done.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks all. We'll see you tomorrow.
Aloha.